Voltaire was brilliant, a sly financial speculator, a courtier who cared nothing for the mores of the Ancien Régime, and so was both an object of admiration and great animosity at court, a lover of freedom of thought and expression, which he considered the human being's natural rights, denied it likewise by church and state. Nor is this love for freedom more evident than in his prolific, tireless writing. Although his advocacy for justice of the Protestant Callas family comes close. My recent reading of Candide, or the Optimist, has given me ample reason to celebrate the genius of this man. And what better way to celebrate than by employing the craft that he practiced with such deft hand. Look not for a humorist as you read through Candide, rather look for a man sickened with a world in which philosophical doctrines and religious faith were used to justify the unjustifiable. The optimism of Leibniz is but the earliest victim of Voltaire's pen here. Candide's teacher, the philosopher Pangloss, serves as Leibniz's surrogate. At the beginning of the novel, he suffers from a marked inability or perhaps a staunch refusal to move past the optimistic notion that, I cite, as all things have been created for some end, they must necessarily be created for the best end. Transformed into a half-blind, half-dead cripple later on, ineptly hanged and inexpertly dissected, Pangloss nevertheless continues to be the optimist. What might seem a heroic hunkering down in another context is, under Voltaire, the height of absurdism, contrasted with Candide's own capacity to move past this philosophical model. This Candide manages through the benefit of bitter experience. The picaresque structure of Voltaire's work sees Candide, among others, travel a not insignificant part of the globe, and in doing so sees him suffer much wretchedness and misery. In so far, Voltaire makes a case for the empiricism of John Locke. It is through experience that Candide does away with philosophizing and reaches a state of perhaps deeper understanding. Encompassed in the closing words, I cite, excellently observed, but let us take care of our garden, is a choice towards embracing freedom in a world that often seeks to grasp it, in embracing action instead of empty philosophizing. If you think Voltaire a humorist, however, you may be forgiven. 265 years after its publication, this picaresque novel continues to be blisteringly funny. The searing wit Voltaire employs might well be exemplary of the sharp repartees with which he earned animosity in the courts of Louis XV and Frederick the Great of Prussia. He was exiled from both. The wit has been faithfully rendered by the translator, who, I am saddened to report, is nowhere mentioned by name in my edition, the otherwise gorgeous Macmillan Collector's Library pocketbook. A point of some interest should be addressed. P.N. Furbank notes the linguistic drift between the meaning of Candide in Voltaire's day and in our own contemporary world in his 2005 essay for the New York Review of Books, Cultivating Voltaire's Garden. He explains thusly, I quote, "For candid and candor in English are words that have almost completely reversed their meaning. In the 18th century, they, like their French counterparts, referred not to telling the truth, even if painful, but to doing one's very best to think well of others. The oldest sense survives in Jane Austen. The quote within the quote, affectation of candor is common enough. One meets with it everywhere, says Elizabeth to Jane in Pride and Prejudice." Got it right here, my copy. I'm actually reading through it now for the first time. But to be candid, without ostentation or design, to take the good of everybody's character and make it still better, and say nothing of the bad, belongs to you alone. End quote. And Voltaire's Candide remains candid, in this sense, almost to the end, which is another way of saying that with all the lessons life offers him, he never learns anything. Many of the sharpest, most incisive, funniest and, yes, most horrifying moments across Candide aren't mere fancy. Episodes such as the execution of an English admiral, the smorgasbord of natural disasters in Lisbon, and the savage auto da fe that follows are all drawn from Voltaire's own day. To look at that last one, the burning of people in the hopes of mollifying nature during the so-called Enlightenment, is to acknowledge just how much wishful thinking goes into the term we use for this period. Voltaire's work champions humanistic values and dismisses the authority of the systems of power used to justify misery and human suffering. His scepticism, pessimism even, carries a charge that no other writer possessed of these qualities has managed to convey. This work is a call towards freedom, a summons to become what Voltaire may well have seen himself as: a philosopher ignorant, as Marine Ganowski writes in her introduction to the Macmillan edition. If it is not happiness that the novel concludes at, it is at least its possibility in the cultivation of the garden, and all that is promised therein. What a fun novel, and what a joy it is to write a sort of essayistic take on it. I really did love my time with this little book, and I cannot recommend it enough. It's one of those classics that, in my opinion, should continue to be read for a very long time. If you enjoyed this video, if you would like to see more like it in the future, please don't forget to subscribe. Tell me, what are some of your favorite classics, French or otherwise? Have you read Voltaire? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, also share it with your friends. Subscribe, I already said that. Ring that bell notifications, did not say that. Send it to your grandma. Yeah, she probably enjoyed Voltaire well enough. I mean, at least one of mine did. I will see you next time. I've got sci-fi book reviews on Mondays, fantasy book reviews on Wednesdays, and these miscellaneous videos, essays, comic book reviews, classic book reviews, literary novel reviews, anything you can think of, on Fridays. Always on Fridays. I will see you again soon. Or maybe not. Maybe I will be disappeared by the state. Anyway, I'm Philip Magnus, you are not. See you next time.